Hello, poker people. This is Sky with SmartPokerStudy.com, and I'm coming at you today with a Targeting the Week video, all about how to look for player types among the other players at the table and seeing who you should target. You know, in that hand right then, I purposely isolated this limper with the Jack 10 off. Now, Jack 10 is not that great of a hand, but you can see this is a total loose passive guy. He folds a ton, as you can see the stats right over here. This is my HUD. He folds. Well, he decided to open. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Let's isolate this guy. So he folds a lot post flop. So he is an easy one to take it away on, on most flops in position as the pre-flop raiser. So last time he limped and I ISO'd with the Jack 10. This time he did a min open and I ISO'd with a 3-bet. So let's see what he does to it or versus it here. Anyway, so I'm not going to talk about all the different player types too much right now. We have loose passive, tight passive, lags, which are loose aggressive players, and tags. I often find that min bets like this are just min blocking bets. So let's make a bigger raise here. I do have some backdoor equity with a backdoor straight, backdoor flush. $1.34 to win $4.29, which is 5. Oh, man. I have $68, 34, 31. Nah, I don't have enough equity to hit it. So, well, took the chance there, His min bet. Open call, out of position, flop, min bet, shove. Roughly, was it 310? Maybe like 28 BBs? Something like that? I'm not exactly sure. It was, might have been less. 25 BBs or so he had shoved. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm not going to go over these player types all that much. You can visit www.smartpokerstudy.com/player targeting. That's where I have all these different player types kind of laid out and the characteristics and what my edge against these players are, like that. So, but just as a little thing, loose passive players are like this guy here, where they play a ton of hands, but not very aggressively. They only raise 5% of the time. Tight passive would be, let's see if we have any. Well, this guy's more of a tag, tight aggressive player. 15% of hands he plays raises 9, so this is a tag right here. And a lag would be somebody like, you could say 43-25. He raises a whole lot and plays a whole lot of hands. That would be a tag. So currently at this table, this guy is a tag player, tight aggressive, but he's actually also a reg. I see him on a lot of tables. I only have 384 hands on him, but he often multi-tables like 4 or 5 tables at a time, I see. At least lately he has been. That's where I get these hands from. So I'm going to classify him as a reg, and for regs, I normally color code them a dark blue. And what this does is it gives me a quick way to take a look at what kind of player type they are without even looking at stats. I just see blue. That means he's a reg. It means I want to kind of avoid hands against this guy. I only have one hand on this guy. Really too early to tell, of course, what kind of player he is. Now, 581 hands on Dr. Dan. At a 38.5, he is without a doubt a loose passive player, so he gets the green color coding. I don't know why these are popping up over here. He gets the green. Means he's a very loose passive. This guy is 71-14 over 14 hands. Pretty good indication. It's not a big enough sample yet, but it's a pretty good indication that he's a very, very loose passive player. 43 hands, 42-7. We can classify him probably as loose passive. Let's go ahead and do so. I can always change. I can always change the color coding as I go, if he ends up switching course and getting aggressive. This guy so far, 200 hands, let's fold that, is a 30-19 player. So this is getting close to what is it, a loose aggressive game. He's pretty aggressive, more aggressive than most, if not all the other players here. He's definitely more aggressive than them, but he's not really all up to that loose yet. So let's just give him the loose passive green for now. If this should rise, which I suspect it will, I can give him the lag tag, you know. And so you can see these color codings down here match what I give them on the PokerTracker. This guy, of course, is another loose passive guy. And 66-13 over 90 hands, man, another loose passive dude. So as you can see, this table is full of targets. We want to get into hands with all of these green players here. This guy most likely only 15 hands, but oh no, wait, actually Teddy KGB, yeah. He's actually kind of a reg player. He's gonna, once we see his stats pop up once he plays his first hand, he's gonna be kind of tight passive, getting to be a tag side. If he raised a few more hands, he would be a tag player. But yeah, he's a loose passive player, so he's one we want to target. And now some of the guys that we really want to target are those with a high fold versus c-bet. So this guy right here at 91%, this guy at 100. Let's see, there's probably only 3 hands. Oh, 2 hands. Which isn't a lot. We're just going to check behind here. We could raise to try to ISO this guy, but he's in as well. And it's just not a good spot. Not with the hand's just not good enough to do it. Just hope to flop something really good. So when you're player targeting, when you're looking at players at the table, one of the things you always want to do is assess the profitability at the table. Now, I would have to say that with 2 regs, but 5 without a doubt easy pickings, this table is worth playing. I would play at a table like this, 8 days a week without a doubt. And pretty much any spot at this kind of table is good to have. You always want, you would prefer to have the bigger stacks to your right, of course, but sometimes you can't pick or choose. Now, if he should leave the table, I'll probably jump to here because he is a better reg than Teddy KGB, I would say. At least stats-wise, he is. We'll see from playing with him and everything. Now, Ace-Jack is a great hand to ISO. It is tough to get away with C-bets post-flop out of position, but we've got some very weak players. Now, this guy 3-bets 16% of the time. And we got a call. No, there's no need to squeeze. Ace-Jack off is just not that good of a hand, and I'm just not going to call either. I don't want to play out of position versus 2. Now, this guy's a station, without a doubt. This guy, not so much. Well, results oriented. We would have flop trips, but whatever. It happens. I think that was the better play right there. Just look for a better spot when I can play against these 2 fish in position, which is just 1 hand away from now. And with their short stack sizes, Ace-Jack didn't have that much implied odds with only 40 BBs to start the hand here. It's not a bad idea to fold that. I don't think it is. Oh, interesting. Nice little shove there. Slow playing. You hit a 6, huh? Rivered 6. You don't put him on a jack. You rivered your full house. I think you would have bet the turn to build the pot a little bit, make your river shove a lot not as scary if you would have built the pot on the turn. So you didn't have a jack. Well, guys like you actually can slow play, and you try to treat big bets at the end as kind of, let's isolate this guy without a doubt again. He might get upset though and just shove right here with only 6 BBs total, but I'll go ahead and call, and I can get some value out of this guy quite possibly. He's shaping up to be a fish, only 5 hands, but 80%. Oh, holy cow. Gut shot plus a flush draw. I am definitely c-betting at this, and it'll give me a little c-bet stat here. See what he does versus the c-bet on an ace-high board. Come on, buddy, just check. I know you're gonna. Go ahead, put your 30 cents in. I'll pop it up to 70. Oh, no. Let's go ahead and make it 0.5. Get you to call all in with my flush draw and gut shot. Combo draw here. It worked. Sometimes when I look down at a hand like this, I'm not going to ISO with a 9-10 off. I can't get any extra money from him. All I'm hoping to win is 4.5 big blinds by ISOing there. With a 9-10, just not worth it. With a lot of hands like this, you're looking for implied odds against fish. So, of course, it would be nice if you had a bigger stack. I could ISO, I could call to ISO and, give these guys an opportunity to squeeze, or I can make a smaller raise, get them out and get him to call. Now, the fact that he put money in makes it more likely if I were to make a play, I'm isolating this guy. He's the only one that up to now has shown interest in the pot. So that's how isolation raises work. It could be anybody limping in or raising. The fact that you re-raise or even just call them makes it so you'll be more likely to get heads up with one player. If you have 1, 2, 3 limps ahead of you, well, all these guys put money in, so they all want to see a flop. Your raise could get the first guy to call, which could get the second, which could get the third. So the more limpers or more people that are in the pot before you get there, the less likely you can isolate them. So that's one thing to remember. Queen 6. Wow, you caught it. Look at that. Quadrupled up. That was weird. Configure mucked card. I got to take a look at that again because his Queen 6 showed up under me. So I'll pay attention to the next showdown, see where they end up. Yeah, so this guy without a doubt is shaping up to be, if he raises a few more times, he could be a lag, loose aggressive player, which I would color code with orange. So after this hand, we're going to get to see his stats, and we'll see that he's a tight passive player. But let's do some of this here. So loose passive 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we've got plenty of loose passive players here. We've got a reg in seats 1. Whoops, did I hit copy? Yeah. We've got a reg in seats 1 and 4. Seat 2, most likely loose passive, and seat 9 all the way over here is me. Well, so for regs or tag players, actually is one way you can look at it here. Tag players can be regulars, of course. They prefer bets and raises over calling and checking, of course, just because that's how you win pots, and these guys have that really good understanding that that's how you're going to win, that's how they're going to win. They apply pressure, understand, actually let's just say in position. So in position means they understand the importance of position, and they also not always, but oftentimes they're confident post flop. Oh, let's just expand this a bit so that pops up. Confident post flop. All right. So that's that there. That's against regs and tag players, of course. And some of the adjustments that you want to make against these players is you want to kind of avoid hands. Avoid weak hands, of course. And out of position against these guys. In general, you want to avoid them as much as possible. There's really no need to play against regs, especially when you're at a table full of loose passive guys. This is where the money is. Getting against regs, of course, you're going to attack them with pocket aces, ace, king, kings, queens, jacks, tens in position. You're going to call their raises with suited connectors, things that can bust them, like an 8-9 suited or a jack 10 suited, because those hands can flop really well and take I just don't want to ISO. I could, but he's got a short stack, only 11 or 12 BBs and a 4-3 off. I'm just not going to do it. So many players left to act. Possibly if the button were here, or even if I was on the button, I could raise to isolate him and take it away on flops that don't hit him at all. So I could have done that there. Yeah, so regs you want to stay away from for the most part. And these loose passive guys. So if we look at, your basic description of a loose passive guy, he's a station. So you don't want to bluff. You could say no bluff, but it's more like infrequent bluffs, because guys like this can definitely get away. As we see this guy, he can get away on the flop, but in general, you don't want to bluff these guys unless the board gets really scary or they show some kind of indication that they don't like their hand, But anyway, these guys are without a doubt stations. They prefer checks and calls over bets and raises like that the regs, that the tags do. And they are not, I'll say, out of position. They're not positionally aware, so they'll play any pot and they want to just see flops. And they don't care They don't care what their cards are, and they often play face up. Their cards will tell you exactly what they got. If they're raising, stay away. If they are just checking and you've got a value hand, just keep betting them top pair, even second pair, depending on the station. You know, a guy like, let's say, this guy right here, Rise Up, he does not like to fold. Oh, yeah, he's pretty close there. Getting to be, if he just upped these a little bit, he'd be a loose aggressive player, but he does not like to fold. So this is the kind of guy that you can definitely go for 3 streets of value with top pair, even top pair weak kicker, or second pair top kicker, like you know, an ace jack on a queen jack 4 flop. You can possibly go for 3 streets there against this kind of guy. Yeah. All right. Okay. No bluff. Value town, without a doubt. You cannot miss value bets against fish. Fish that call super wide. This guy also does not like to fold flops over 590 hands. He doesn't fold here. Darn, can't see it. Let's just pull this up. In position, he folds the c-bets only 33% of the time. Out of position, 44%. You know, so this guy really does not like to fold. You've got to go for max value versus him and versus him. Now, guys like this, if he calls the flop, you'd better be careful. So not all fish are created equal, of course. Some are flop honest, some are not. Flop honesty, some flop honesty, maybe 2 out of 3. Yeah, flop honesty here, semi flop honest. So now you can see his stats pop up, and he is a tight passive player. He only raises half of the time. I have 4K hands, 4.1K, 4,100 hands on the guy. I often see him at 4 or 5 different tables. Right now, this is just a focus session, you know, targeting the week, and so I'm playing just the one session. But after this video, I'll probably end up playing for another hour or so, and I'll probably jump on 3 or 4 tables, and I'll see him on probably all 3 or 4 tables, you know. So that's one of the good things about using PokerTracker 4 or any HUD for that matter, is that it gives you a good indication of what the players are like. You don't have to come in fresh every King 8. Oh wow. Oh, from the blind you defended there. Okay. Yeah, a passive guy like there isn't going to fold to many blinds. Let's take a look at his steals real quick, or fold to steal. So he folds a big blind to steal 0. Oh, it's only 0 out of 100 times. He hasn't seen many steals there. And he calls steals, of course. 3-bet versus steal 0. Yeah, so that's my steal pop up. Well, you are passive, but I really don't need to isolate you. Let's just hope to flop something good. Fold 100%, fold 92%, and then you decide to bet at it. I have almost zero equity, of like 4% equity with a backdoor straight draw right there. That's about all I had. Maybe 6% equity if you count possibly hitting a pair or 2 pair and they don't have an ace. Very little equity, no point in chasing it there. Anyway, yeah, no bluff and take these guys to value town. What the? What is going on? Oh gosh darn it. How come it's only weird? Not gonna get involved here with a razor. If you know, a fish razor and then 2 callers behind, you know, my ISO raise probably won't work. Huh, how come you're not working? Oh well. Same players right here. They're all loose passive. Now this guy, 62-15, he's without a doubt a loose passive too. So you can see at this table of 9 players, I've got 6 loose passive. Great guys to play with. I'd play with them every day of the week. And then 2 regs to kind of avoid. Now they both have relative position on me. There's only 3 positions here between us, whereas, you know, he has position most of the time on me, and this guy has position on me all but this hand right here. With the 3-8, I'm not going to bother ISOing no matter what. Even if it's just this guy that limps in, I'm just not. Sometimes you just gotta, you know, give it up with such a terrible hand. With, I mean, what does this have against 100% range? This probably has I don't know, 22% equity, maybe something terrible like that. So forget about it. We're not gonna tackle that hand in this instance. So if you take a look up here, this is my HUD. You can see it all. Notes, hands, VPIP, and PFR, which are two of the main things that I look at. Fold to steal up here. Now, when it comes to cash games, I don't really look at the steal all that much. I mean, 1.5 BBs when you have a 100 BB stack isn't a whole lot to steal, but I keep this so that I have this pop-up quick and easy to see all these other steal stats right here. You can see this guy 3 bets versus steal 25%, 1 out of 4 out of the small blind. So he might be one if I raise in the cutoff or button. And if I have a value hand and he 3 bets, I might want to just call because he'll likely fold because he's 3 betting so much. He doesn't have a value hand 25% of the time in the small blind to 3 bet. But if I have a bluffy hand, I might want to just give it a 4 bet there to get him to fold. So seeing the steal pop up kind of helps. And then of course over here is the raise first in percentage, fold to 3 bet and 4 bet. These all kind of go together. And then down here is his call 2 bet percentage, 3 bet percentage. The name, I always put the name here because as you can see when you first get to a table, the stats or the HUDs are moved around until things get situated and it realizes where I'm at. So always, just in case, I like to match up the names before I really rely on the stats. Of course, I have the number of hands up here. The more hands, the more reliable the stats are. Over here are the post-flop stats. So C-bet the flop, the turn, fold to flop C-bet, and fold to turn C-bet right here. So these are all really good. And HUD stats to focus on. Now, all of these here, it's basically all the stats that I have in my HUD to focus on. RFI and 2-bet. This tells you how passive the guys are or how active they are. Aggressive, I should say. Your 3-bet stat, of course, down here is important. Your 4-bet stat is important too, so you know how often these guys will fold to 3-bet. Occasionally you'll find a guy, let's see, who have a lot of hands on here. So this guy folds to 3-bets 88% of the time. He 4-bets 3% of the time. So I know he's a really good one, especially if he's opening in later position. He's a really good one to 3-bet steal from because he's going to fold most of the time. And if he 3-bets, he's got aces or kings or queens. Guaranteed. I'm sorry, 4-bet. If he 4-bets, he's got queens or better right there. And then I can ditch all but probably all but aces or kings. I can call with kings without a doubt. Oh, wow. Let's just come in and let's just try to flush mine on this. I don't really want to build a pot with such a weak hand. If I hit top pair, any of these guys with an ace has a better kicker than me, and they'll stay in till the end. So I don't really want to build a pot. Now, that is one of the risks when you limp behind. It's such a juicy pot for a reg to take advantage of that, it was his opportunity to take advantage of it. Now, let's take a look here. So Preflop Raising, what position? Where's he at here? In the hijack. So Preflop Raising, he does like to raise quite a bit as the middle position, only 8%. So you could say this is probably a very good value hand. I could call to flush mine. It's going to cost 70 cents to win 345, which means I really only have to win 1 out of 5, which is 20% of the time. This is a 20% equity hand. So let's go ahead and make the call. This is at least 20% equity here, even against, not against aces, but against kings or queens or even ace-king, what he's raising with. I have at least 20%, and the implied odds with these guys still in the hand, it was a call worth making at least just to try to flush mine. Let's see what he does. He's got, oh my gosh, he didn't bet. You raised to 80 cents with just ace-king? Could you have raised it with ace-queen? And if you did raise with ace-king, one of your 2 cards could be a club. I doubt I can push you off too many hands here. You, passive dude, choose to bet. I only have fold equity. And even then, how much fold equity do I have? You're betting 1/3 pot, betting 1/5 your stack. You could just be bluffing, but it's a bigger size bet for such a passive guy, so we'll get rid of that. One thing to remember, of course, is that passivity pre often equals passivity post. So you can see this guy is very passive pre-flop, but now he suddenly gets aggressive on the turn when it was checked to him. Oh, hit the queen. Okay. What'd you have? It was ace 10 off. Oh, really? Wow, that's a pretty good one to know. Cash, raise over 4 limps to 8 BBs with ace 10 off. Nice solid play there, just trying to take down the pot. That's pretty good. Good on you, mate. But you should have thrown out a c-bet. Now, he probably wouldn't have folded this passive guy with top pair. But then again, you probably should have. You were in position against everybody. I would have probably thrown out the c-bet there. Your 80-cent bet looks pretty strong, although it could be kind of weak. I mean, aces or queens, would you have raised 80? That's one of the questions you need to ask yourself, Mr. Heaven. Would you have raised it to 8 big blinds if you had aces or kings or queens? You know, something that would scare a top pair hand. Queens would have had a set. Kings or aces would have been over pair. That's one of the questions you need to ask yourself. Now, I don't think you would have raised that much to 80 cents. I doubt this guy's noticing it, but I don't think you would have raised that. Oh, king deuce. Oh, wow, rivered. What are you going to do? Oh, no, you're out of here. No rebuy. I'm not going to come in here. See, now that was his hand, so I got to configure some mucked cards here. Deuces, aces. Wait a second. That seems real odd to me. Let's see what happens on the next showdown. Save layout. Not sure if I have to do that. You want a big pot and you're getting out, huh? Why is that? Are you just sitting out? Oh, scared. Nice. It's good to know about this guy. Yeah, Dr. Dan, Rhino, Heaven, Stack Attack. Okay, plus small my half pot, donk, bluff, fold into a 3-way pot. Okay. So anyway, these are a lot of the stats you want to look for. These limp call, limp fold, and limp raise stats, I have those. Whoops. I have those in this pop-up, which I call the Assassinato pop-up, which I tailored off of one that I saw in Alex Fitzgerald's videos, some of his videos. So there's your limp percentage, overall limp percentage. Limp folding, limp calling, limp raise, and isolate. So occasionally you'll find players, let's see here. Well, he doesn't limp all that often. You know, he's a great reg. Let's find a passive guy, 600 hands. He limps plenty. Limp calls most of the time. So if my goal is to get him to fold, that's pretty darn unlikely. Unless maybe I make a bigger raise. So if I want him to fold, I've got to make a bigger raise. But most likely, if he limps, he's calling my raise. So I got to be aware of that. And the fact that he's calling my raise and he doesn't give up a lot on the flop or turn means that I need to play him in position and then go for value post flop. I don't want to raise his limp out of position like from the small blind or big blind because he's going to see a flop and he's going to stick in, and it's by building the pot out of position, it's going to get really costly for me to try to take it from him then. Let's see, 16-8. I doubt he limps all that often. Let's take a look. Only 8% of the time. Yeah, that's not much at all. Now, there's no need to ISO. Such a terrible hand. He already limped in. It was the only one in. He folded, so. Pair of sixes. Well, he can definitely call with a weaker hand. And I can just check here and get a little value on that turn bet. Yeah, I mean, he called with fives. Good. Yeah, so that's the limps. Let's take 64, 223. Let's take a look here. You're a little bit more aggressive. Yeah, you only limp 8% too. 332, 41.8. This guy has to limp a ton. 32, and limp calls mostly. Now, he's an easier one to take it away with a raise because he limp folds way more often than this guy does, Dr. Dan. Oh, this is interesting. Just calls the squeeze. A 5 5x squeeze. Now, he was short stack, so you can't really read too much in the 5x squeeze. Now, a min raise, oh, he's got aces. Kings, okay, I was close. I don't know why you called that, man. You did not see his. Oh, man. Of course. I mean, I would have said aces, but kings are just as, basically the same kind of hand. Now, I'm raising just to isolate this guy. He's going to check no matter what. He might even call. I mean, this guy's so passive. He just won a big pot. It might be flush with excitement. He decides to call, but so does he. Now, most likely, neither of these guys have an ace. If he does have an ace, so be it. And this guy could as well, too. He did do a time down check, so he could have 2 clubs, maybe 1 club, maybe a gut shot. 35, you're pretty darn. Now, c-betting, you're not so honest, but versus a pre-flop raiser, you are honest. Let's take a look out here. Out of position, you donk 0% of the time. Come on, pop up. How many hands is that? Dang nabbit, just fold. Let's take a look here. 0 out of 4, he donks. So this is the first time. 1 out of 5, he donks 20% of the time. So I've got to put him on an ace here to make this donk. Oh, you're going to donk call, right? You hit your gut shot. That's why you timed down and checked on the flop, because you had a queen, maybe even queen 10, maybe queen X. Could have been queen anything. Show your queen. Nope, not there. He had a queen. I'm not going to ISO with this hand no matter what, even if you limp, even if... Oh, 24-8, pretty loose passive. Let's see how that plays out here. Well, you're sitting out. You're probably gone. Still got a loose passive. Still got a loose passive. The reg is still there. This guy's gone. What a shame. This guy, let's see. He lost his stack. I doubt he'll come back. And we'll just, we can ditch it. So currently at this table, we've got 4 loose passive players still. 1, 2, it's only 25 hands, but still loose passive. 53 hands, still loose passive. 4 loose passives and 1 reg. So this hand, I would say this table is still a little bit profitable. So I'll stay here for a little bit longer, maybe pop open some other tables. But thank you everyone for watching this video. Go check out this page, please, where you can see more on player targeting, where I really dive into loose passive, type passive, lag players, tag players, and a little bit on regs. But you could figure regs are just solid tag players who play a lot of hands. Let's see this last hand before the big blind. I'll just pop it up here and see what happens. Of course, too good to fold. I ain't gonna limp, of course. After 45 hands, how many limps did I make? 8% limps. 2 out of 25. I wonder why I limped. Oh, limping behind is what those are. 75 cents. This guy does not like to fold. I have a great hand. I am going for max value here. Go ahead and call. Come on, you don't like to fold. Go ahead and call. Good. Now, does the 9 hit anything? Jack 9, of course. Ace 9, just improved. And if he has that, so be it. But I'm going to go for very solid value here. Ace and Queens 2 pair. He could have the flush draw. He does not like to fold. That does not mean he has a flush draw. I think if I go for pretty decent kind of a thin value bet here, if he raises or shoves, he's got me beat. Oh, well, bummer. We both gave 17 cents to the house. 18 cents for you, so I made off a little bit better on that hand. But, oh well. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for watching the video. And, this is a hand. C-bets 59% of the time. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. This will be my last hand for the video. I'm going to call here, and if he checks behind the flop, I'm going to fire the turn to take it down from him. Time down a little bit. Just check. Make him think I have an ace, and I'm slow playing. Let's see what he does here. If he fires, he's got the ace. He's got the ace, so I'm giving it up. If he had checked, I would have fired the turn no matter what the turn card was. I would have fired that same size bet, about 40 cents there. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care. Visit this site for more player targeting info. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel below and leave a comment if you'd like to request some different vids from me. All right, take care, everybody. Have a good night. Goodbye.